Hey y'all. So, y'all know that a lot of times I get on here talking noise about California. But recently there was a big win in San Francisco, California. So I definitely want to come on here and talk about that. So y'all know, recently in my last few lives, I've been talking about the facial recognition, and what's happening with basically like this surveillance technology. I told y'all about this, basically this experiment slash study that they recently did. If I'm not mistaken, it was in New York, where they picked people to use different cameras and pinpoint them basically throughout their day. They followed them using this facial recognition technology. So they would pick you and follow you from the time you left your home to the post office, to your job, to the bakery, to the cleaners, to back home. And then they would literally use that facial recognition to find your work profile or where you work, and can find your address and all these different things. So it's really getting crazy out here. And so San Francisco is the first major city to ban this technology. And I think this is a huge win for San Francisco. And I wanted to tell y'all a little bit more about that. So let's start with this New York Times article. All right, so San Francisco bans recognition technology. San Francisco, long at the heart of the technology revolution, took a stand against potential abuse on Tuesday by banning the use of facial recognition software by the police and other agencies. The action, which came in an 8-1 vote by the Board of Supervisors, make San Francisco the first major American city to block a tool that many police forces are turning to in the search for both small-time criminal suspects and perpetrators of mass carnage. The authorities used the technology to help identify the suspect in the mass shooting in an Annapolis MD newspaper last June. See, this is what they do. They always throw those little things in there to make, it's our safety. It's about our safety. Okay, whatever. But civil liberty groups have expressed unease about the technology's potential abuse by government amid fears that it may shove the United States in the direction of an overly oppressive surveillance state. Okay. Overly oppressive surveillance state. This is already happening in China. I've talked about this with y'all several times. In China, not only are they highly surveillance, but now they're doing these social cards where they are basically able to connect these people as consumers in their social media sphere, in their political preferences, all this to basically follow them and say whether this person is safe or unsafe. Okay. Aaron Peskin, the city supervisor who sponsored the bill, said that it sent a particularly strong message to the nation coming from a city transformed by tech. I think part of San Francisco being the real and perceived headquarters for all things tech also comes with the responsibility for its local legislatures. We have local legislators. We have an outsized responsibility to regulate the excesses of technology precisely because they are headquartered here. But critics said that rather than focusing on bans, the city should find ways to craft regulations that acknowledge the usefulness of facial recognition. It is ridiculous to deny the value of this technology in securing airports and border installations. It is hard to deny that there is a public safety value to this technology. See, this is what they do. This is what they do to take your rights, your privacy, your freedoms. This is the same thing they do with the gun argument. We just want to protect you. Let us protect you. Let us make you more safe. Let us do that by taking your rights or putting more regulations on it. That's what they do to make it cute and not make you hip to the fact that that's where it starts and it only gets worse. Okay. Similar bans are under consideration in Oakland and in Somerville, Massachusetts, outside of Boston. In Massachusetts, a bill in the state legislature would put a moratorium on facial recognition and other remote biometric surveillance systems. On Capitol Hill, a bill introduced last month will ban users of commercial face recognition technology. Y'all, this is sad that we're even in a world where this even has to be done, but this is the stuff y'all need to know. Let me read this again. On Capitol Hill, a bill introduced last month would ban users of commercial face recognition technology from collecting and sharing data for identifying or tracking consumers without their consent. Although it does not address the government's uses of technology. I told y'all the other day about my story with WhatsApp. I'm literally talking to someone. This is supposed to be a private conversation. I'm talking to someone, talking about different things. And then the next thing I know, I'm getting ads for it on Instagram. So now not only are they already doing this, now they want to be able to track you throughout your day using facial recognition to track you even more so as a consumer. Do you want Walmart and Amazon and John Deere and Apple tracking you? This is some freaky stuff, okay? The San Francisco proposal, he added, is really forward-looking and looks to prevent the unleashing of this dangerous technology against the public. So this just goes on to talk about this. This is a good article that I will link below. But the fact of the matter is, anytime they want to put more laws and regulations on you, criminalize you more, this is what they do, okay? They talk about public safety. Oh, we're just trying to protect you. Oh, this technology has worked with catching other people. But what you don't see in this article, which you can actually find in other articles if you are keeping up with this facial recognition, is, for one, this facial recognition is not as advanced in detecting Black faces. So a lot of times, and not even just Black faces, because they actually did a study with like 20 something politicians, and those politicians were linked back to freaking mugshots, okay? But even more so, this technology is really not advanced in detecting Black faces. So they misrecognize Black faces, which will what? Do what? Potentially help over criminalize more Black people. I've talked about this. When people are not forward thinking and they do not think about how these laws can potentially affect them in their community in the long run. These are things we have to look at and think about, okay? Not only that, but also you have law-abiding citizens that will have to be strictly surveillanced under the guise of public safety. No, it's not right. Let me show y'all this other article, also from New York Times, that I thought was really interesting. And I was like, oh, okay, I see now. Anyway, but this is also from the New York Times. The man behind San Francisco's facial recognition ban is working on way more. So this just goes on to tell about the ban, like we already talked about. This guy named Huffer was basically sitting in the back of the chamber of the city hall and was talking about how he was confident that this was going to pass and stuff like this. But anyway, over the past 5 years, he has drafted 26 privacy laws for cities and counties in California. All were approved, 23 unanimously. And he had and he has seen enough of the machinations of decision making to be certain that this one will go through. All right, so this goes on to talk about that. But anyway, y'all. So look, so this talks about the guy. He's little known outside of California, but his anti-surveillance measures have been making waves in the state. He successfully pressed the Northern California cities of Richmond and Berkeley, which have sanctuary policies. There we go. Now you tell us the truth, to end their contracts with tech companies like Amazon and Vigilant Solutions that do business with immigration and customs enforcement. In Santa Clara County, in Oakland, and elsewhere, he has secured transparency laws around surveillance technology. So this is what they do. This is the truth. This is the truth of the matter. See, these are the type of laws that come to my head when I think about progressive legislation. You know what I mean? Laws that protect the privacy and the freedoms that you are due as an American a citizen. And just when you start to think that California just may care about your privacy, just may care about your freedoms, you come to realize that part of this is due to the fact that they do not want people being able to use facial recognition technology on illegal immigrants. Go figure. Just when you start that, just when you were starting to think they cared about you. Wow. But I must say, nonetheless, I definitely feel like this is the right move. If these police officers can do their job, if these people can't look at the core issues and handle immigration without infringing upon my rights, you're not doing something right, and you need to look at the core issues. So ultimately, even though these people are scheming and still have agendas, and really, while you're pushing this in progressive San Francisco is to further protect illegal immigrants, nonetheless, it still protects me as well. So I'm all for that. When you have these type of surveillance systems, everybody becomes subject to surveillance of the government. And that's not what we want. So ultimately, I do think this is for the best. This does not affect the federal surveillance systems that you find in airports and ports of entry, which I think is fair, because obviously we have to protect our borders, especially with things like terrorism and stuff like that. But anyway, so I just want y'all to know that this is going on. Hopefully other states will follow suit. I've been talking about this heavily, particularly since I found out what's going on in China, and a good way to kind of see where the needle is being pushed is to look at other countries, other areas where these things are happening, and we don't want this to happen. And these are the things that we need to pay attention to. This is way more of a pressing issue than, a freaking company that you may like are saying something that's offensive to you and hurting your feelings, or a movie coming out that you don't agree with. These are the pressing issues that we need to be looking at. The type of legislation, social norms that could further criminalize people and take their freedoms. These are the things we need to talk about. These are the things that we need to look at. These are the things that are harmful and can impact us, and we need to be forward thinking on them. But anyway, so I had to let y'all know about that. Leave your thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.